Welcome or welcome back. Today we're going to be making garlic and onion sourdough bagels. So to begin, we're going to start with our wet ingredients bowl. Just let me turn the scale around here. I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. Okay, we're just going to turn our scale on 0 or tear out our scale. Okay, we're going to be adding 205 grams of filtered water to our bowl. Next, we will be adding 280 grams of active fed starter. It's nice and bubbly. I'll just show you. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to 0 to tear out our scale again. So when the starter floats on the water like that, that's a very good sign that it's ready to use. Don't think I have enough. I'll be right back. Just grab another container. Okay, so we've added the rest of the starter now. Just going to get the last ingredient ready, which is 25 grams of maple syrup. If you prefer to use honey, please do so. It is personal choice. Okay, we're just going to 0 or tear out our scale again. Okay, just going to add our syrup. I'm just going to stir this together and I'll be right back. So next we're going to get our dry ingredients bowl ready. To the bowl we're going to be adding 500 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour. Again, I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. I've grabbed the bottle of spices. We're going to be adding 1.5 tablespoons of garlic and onion spice today. We wanted to make our bagels savory so we could have breakfast sandwiches with them. Let us know if you try a different spice and which one is your favorite. Okay, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Next, we're going to be adding 50 grams of bread flour. Oops, too much. Let's take out a little bit more. Okay, good. Moving on to the next ingredient. So now we're back. We're going to add 12 grams of salt to our bowl. I'm just going to mix this through now. And we'll be back and we'll start with our wet ingredients bowl. So now we're going to add our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients bowl. And we're just going to start mixing everything together. So as you can see, I'm bringing the dough together. If you are mixing this and you notice that your dough is still too dry, you can absolutely add a little bit more water. I just like to start with that amount, 205 grams, and go from there. So indeed it is a little bit dry today. Just gonna pour onto my gloved hand. Just a little bit of time and bring it together. So we're just gonna carry on mixing, getting our dough to come together. So we brought our dough together. We're just gonna bring it out of the bowl now onto our work surface. But of course, once again, we like to let the dough rest for just about 5 minutes in this case. And we're gonna be back. Hi, so we're back. The dough has rested covered for 5 minutes. So now I'm just gonna knead the dough for 5 minutes. I'm not gonna make you watch the whole 5 minutes. So basically I'm gonna finish kneading the dough. I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna rest it for another 30 minutes and then move it back to weigh and shape the bagels. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We're going to determine the total weight of our dough now. So we get 9 bagels out of this recipe. So we're going to see what our total weight is here now. Okay, 1098. So 1098 divided by 9 is about 122 grams per bagel dough. So we are going to continue dividing our dough now into the bagel size portions of 122 grams each. So now that our dough has been divided into portions, we are going to do a pre-shape on our dough by rounding them on the board. As you can see, I haven't added any extra flour, and that's because the board will work with you to provide a little bit extra tension. Just going to squeeze them, return the dough in on itself, and then we're going to flip it over and gently bring it into a round again. I'll try to go a bit slower here so you can see this, hopefully. There we go. So we're back. All our bagel dough has been pre-shaped into rounds, and we're going to cover it, let it rest for 5 minutes, and we'll be back. So we're back. We're going to shape our bagels into the bagel form now. Finger in the middle of the dough. Just going to grab the middle and go around gently to widen it so we get the shape that we want. Some people prefer to make it into a rope shape and join the ends together. All personal choice. You'll find what works for you. I'm not going to make you watch me shape them all. I'll be back when I have these done. So I've just put the last of the bagels in the container. We're going to cover it and let it rise on the counter for 2 hours, and we'll be back. So we're back. It's been 4 hours. We had 2 hours on the counter with the dough resting covered, then in the refrigerator for 2 hours, and now we're going to prepare them after 1 more hour. Before I boil my bagels, I like to get some things ready. A cookie sheet with a rack on it for draining my bagels, a strainer for getting the bagels out of the boiling water safely. You will need a timer. And then lastly, I get a cookie sheet ready, lined with parchment paper and sprinkled with semolina flour. The next thing I get ready is my pot of cold water on the stove. I add 1.5 tablespoons of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of brown rice syrup to the water, and I bring it to a boil. So our pot of water is just boiling now. We're going to put in our bagel dough very carefully. Our pot can hold 3 bagels. I find that to be a good amount. It's not overcrowded and it's easier to flip them over. When you put the bagel dough in, you may find that the water stops boiling for just a minute or two. I usually hold the timer until it comes up to a boil again. So our bagels have come back up to a boil now. I've started the timer. It's been almost a minute. We're going to flip them over very gently. And we're going to continue to boil them for another minute and 30 seconds. So our bagels have finished boiling on the second side. We're just going to move them over to the draining rack for a few minutes. And then we're going to move them to the parchment lined cookie sheet. Okay, our bagels are done. Just going to get the last one transferred over to the rack now. I let them drain for a minute or two. The oven was preheated to 425 degrees. When I put the bagels in, I drop the temperature back to 360. I bake them for 10 minutes. I rotate the tray, and then I bake them for 12 minutes more. When the temperature is 195 or above, they are done. I don't usually score my bagels anymore, but I am going to show it to you here today. I don't really find it makes a difference. Both ways are great. So our bagels are done. Just moving them to the cooling rack now. I hope you have enjoyed this recipe, which can be done in one day. After some trial and error, we settled on this one. A lot of recipes will ask you to proof the bagel dough overnight in the refrigerator, and we have tried that as well. We prefer this method. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.